What's up everyone and welcome back to MMA Talk. The rivalry between Khamzat Chimaev and Alex Pereira has been heating up ever since Pereira's brutal knockout win over Magomed Ankalaev. Following that emphatic victory, Chimaev reacted with respect rather than surprise. The Chechen-Swedish powerhouse praised Pereira's devastating knockout power, acknowledging that one punch from him can change everything. However, Chimaev also pointed out that stylistically, Pereira might actually be a favorable matchup for him if he relies heavily on his wrestling. That strategic angle was exactly what Daniel Cormier, DC, and Chael Sonnen discussed on their latest ESPN broadcast. Both UFC veterans broke down the potential fight in detail, analyzing not just the skills but also the physical disparities that could shape the outcome. According to both analysts, size would be the ultimate deciding factor. Cormier emphasized that once fighters start moving up in weight classes, the difference in size becomes monumental. Light heavyweights are absolutely massive compared to the guys Khamzat usually fights, DC said. It might not matter from 170 to 185, but when you start jumping 20 pounds, it becomes a whole different story. Sonnen, never one to shy away from a bold prediction, went even further, stating outright that he believes Pereira would beat Chimaev. He explained that Pereira's physical presence, natural power, and technical striking make him a serious problem for anyone outside his weight class. Even if Chimaev took him down once or twice, that's a big man to drag to the canvas for 25 straight minutes, Sonnen said. When I look at what they weigh right now, not what they're listed at officially, Pereira would beat him. Daniel Cormier, who can't officially make fight predictions due to his role as a commentator, still reinforced Sonnen's point about weight. He highlighted that Pereira cuts from well over 230 pounds to make the 205-pound limit, while Chimaev competes at middleweight, 185 pounds, or welterweight, 170 pounds. At some point, size has to matter, Cormier noted. A 205-pounder walking around at 235 pounds is a completely different physical challenge than a 185-pounder who maybe weighs 210 on fight night. That difference adds up in strength, durability, and endurance. Meanwhile, Alex Pereira himself remains as confident as ever. Having regained his aura as one of the most feared and respected fighters in the sport, Poatan is in peak form, mentally and physically. He recently addressed rumors that Magomed Ankalaev entered their rematch injured, dismissing them entirely. Pereira revealed that he, too, was dealing with severe injuries before the fight, suggesting that Ankalaev's excuses were meaningless. If he knew what I was going through leading up to UFC 320, he would have quit fighting altogether, Pereira said defiantly. Now, with Chael Sonnen confidently picking Pereira and DC subtly agreeing that size could be the decisive factor, the debate continues to divide the MMA community. Fans remain split. Can Khamzat's relentless grappling and pressure overcome Pereira's elite striking and sheer size? One thing is certain, the idea of Pereira versus Chimaev is more than just fantasy matchmaking. It's a potential collision between two of MMA's most dangerous men, each representing a completely different fighting philosophy. Whether it happens at middleweight, light heavyweight, or somewhere in between, this is one fight that would shake the sport to its core. Before we jump into the next story, we have a small favor to ask. If you're enjoying the content, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell icon. It really helps us out and ensures you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. Umar Nurmagomedov has finally broken his silence about his next steps in the UFC and his perspective on one of the most anticipated upcoming bantamweight clashes, Merab Dvalishvili vs Pereira. Speaking ahead of his own bout with Mario Bautista, Umar offered thoughtful insights on his plans, the state of the bantamweight division, and how he sees the ongoing battles within the Dagestani MMA landscape. Umar, widely regarded as one of the most skilled and intelligent fighters at 135 pounds, remains focused on staying active and improving. While many assumed he might wait for another title opportunity or a rematch against the reigning champion, Umar made it clear that sitting on the sidelines isn't part of his mindset. I don't want to wait for anyone, he said. I want to fight in January or maybe February. It all depends on what the UFC decides, but I want to stay active. This attitude reflects Umar's consistent discipline and determination, values deeply rooted in the Dagestani fighting culture. His loss earlier this year ended his undefeated streak, a rare setback for a fighter from Khabib Nurmagomedov's circle. But Umar remains calm and focused, viewing it as a stepping stone rather than a setback. You can't let one loss change your mentality, he said in a recent interview. I will come back stronger, fight anyone the UFC offers, and keep working toward my goals. When asked about Merab Dvalishvili's incredible run and his upcoming fight against former bantamweight champion Pereira, Umar gave an analytical breakdown. Merab has been very active, Umar said. He's fighting again in December, that's 4 fights in 1 year. It's not easy to keep that kind of pace, especially against top-level competition. Maybe after this one, he'll finally take some rest. Still, Umar was quick to acknowledge that Yen shouldn't be counted out. Despite the recent challenges Pereira has faced, including close decision losses, Umar believes the Russian striker still possesses the tools to make the fight competitive. Every fighter always has a chance, Umar said. Petr is very good with his hands. It will depend on how he defends the takedowns and controls the distance. If he can keep the fight standing, he has the power and skill to make things interesting. The Dagestani star also touched on the broader struggles of his fellow countrymen inside the octagon in 2025. It's been a tough year for fighters from his region. Magomed lost his light heavyweight belt to Alex Pereira. Umar's own unbeaten streak came to an end, and now the pressure is on Islam Makhachev to restore Dagestan's dominance. Makhachev is set to face Jack Della Maddalena in a highly anticipated welterweight title bout, and according to Umar, Islam's camp is full of confidence. Islam is ready. We've seen what he can do. He's disciplined, smart, and extremely well prepared, Umar commented. Jack is tough, but Islam's focus is on another level. As for Umar, his eyes remain locked on the road ahead. The goal is to get through Bautista impressively, then take on whoever the UFC puts next in front of him, possibly a top 5 contender. I'm not here to wait for opportunities, he said. I'll earn them. I'll fight anyone. With his technical brilliance, calm composure, and relentless drive, Umar Nurmagomedov continues to represent the next generation of elite Dagestani fighters, and his journey to the top is far from over. Move on to another news. Reigning UFC Light Heavyweight Champion Alex Pereira has revealed that his future might soon lie outside the octagon, in the world of professional boxing. In a recent interview with ConnectCast, the Brazilian knockout artist confirmed that once his MMA chapter comes to an end, he fully intends to transition into boxing, a move that could shake up the combat sports world once again. Pereira, who has already conquered 2 UFC divisions in record time, made it clear that this isn't just an idea he's toying with, it's a genuine plan. I'm definitely going to box, Pereira said confidently. I've made it clear that I want to fight boxing. When I got into kickboxing, people didn't believe me. When I moved into MMA, they doubted me again. And when I go into boxing, they'll probably say the same thing. I'm used to that. Those familiar with Pereira's career know that doubt has always fueled his motivation. From his early kickboxing days in glory, where he became a 2-division world champion, to his meteoric rise in the UFC, dethroning Israel Adesanya and later dominating the light heavyweight division, Pereira has proven time and time again that he thrives under skepticism. His mindset remains the same now as he looks toward another new challenge. When asked whether he had a specific opponent in mind for his boxing debut, Pereira dismissed the idea of chasing names or money. I don't care who I fight, he said. I just want to go out there and compete. It's not about aiming for more money or fame. I like a challenge, that's what drives me. I want to test myself and be the best. That statement perfectly captures the essence of Pereira's career. While many fighters chase financial opportunities in crossover bouts, Pereira's motivation appears to be rooted in competition itself. His approach mirrors that of greats like Anderson Silva, who transitioned to boxing later in his career not for spectacle, but for legacy and self-fulfillment. Pereira's interest in boxing isn't entirely new. Before his MMA stardom, Poatan had already competed in amateur boxing matches, displaying the same ferocious power and precision that would later define his kickboxing and UFC careers. In fact, clips from his amateur boxing days show Pereira delivering thunderous knockouts, a reminder of the raw, natural striking talent that has made him one of the most feared fighters in the world. The timing of Pereira's boxing ambitions is also noteworthy. At 38, he remains one of the UFC's biggest stars and most dominant champions. However, with few fresh challenges left at light heavyweight, and a potential trilogy with Israel Adesanya no longer imminent, boxing presents a new horizon, one that could cement his legacy as a multi-sport combat legend. If Pereira does step into the boxing ring, fans can expect him to bring his trademark style, calculated aggression, surgical precision, and fight-ending power in both hands. Matchups with high-profile boxers, or even MMA to boxing crossovers like Francis Ngannou's, would instantly draw global attention. For now, Pereira remains focused on defending his UFC title and continuing to build his legacy inside the octagon. But his words leave no room for doubt. Once the chapter closes, the world of boxing is next on his list. And given his track record, anyone doubting him once again might just end up on the wrong side of another highlight reel knockout. Move on to another news. UFC featherweight champion Ilia El Matador Topuria has once again set the MMA world ablaze, this time by calling out one of the sport's most polarizing stars, Paddy the Baddy Pimblett. After landing in his home country of Georgia, Topuria was greeted by hundreds of adoring fans before sitting down with the local media to discuss his future, his next title defense, and the opponents currently on his radar. The interview, released just hours ago in Georgian and now translated into English, revealed several major insights into Topuria's mindset and upcoming plans. When asked about the timeline for his next appearance inside the octagon, Topuria confirmed that fans won't have to wait long. There's a very high chance I'll fight on the first Paramount card in January, he said. The comment immediately sparked speculation online, as fans began piecing together what could be one of the most high-profile matchups of early 2026. However, the real story came when Topuria addressed who he wants standing across from him when he returns. To the surprise of many, he didn't mention Arman Tsarukyan, the lightweight contender often linked to a potential superfight with him, nor did he bring up Justin Gaethje, another name that's been floated by pundits as a possible challenger. Instead, Topuria made his intentions crystal clear. He wants Paddy Pimblett next. I'm not thinking about Arman right now, Pereira told reporters. "I'm focused on Paddy Pimblett. That's the fight I want next." The statement sent shockwaves through the MMA community. While many fans and analysts have debated whether Pimblett deserves a title shot, there's no denying that a matchup between Pereira and the baddie would be one of the biggest box office draws the UFC could make. The two share a heated history dating back years, filled with trash talk, social media feuds, and even a near altercation during a previous UFC event week. For Pereira, the fight isn't just about defending his belt, it's about making a statement and securing one of the biggest pay-per-view moments in UFC history. "It's not just about the belt or rankings," Pereira explained. "It's about big fights, legacy fights, and Paddy brings that energy. The fans want it, and I'm ready." The matchup would pit two undefeated stars against each other, a rarity in modern MMA. Pimblett, who has yet to taste defeat in the UFC, continues to build his fanbase through both his charismatic personality and improving performances inside the cage. Pairing him against Pereira, who remains unbeaten and is widely regarded as one of the most complete fighters in the sport, would create the kind of clash that transcends divisions. Some critics argue Pimblett hasn't yet faced top-tier competition to justify a title shot. Still, his name recognition, coupled with Pereira's star power, makes the fight undeniably appealing. As one journalist put it after the interview, Pereira versus Pimblett is the perfect storm, hype, rivalry, and two unbeaten fighters with everything to prove. If the UFC can bring it together, fans may be looking at a blockbuster showdown to kick off 2026. Whether at featherweight or lightweight, Pereira's next move promises fireworks. One thing's for sure, El Matador isn't just defending a title, he's chasing history, legacy, and the biggest fights possible. And if Paddy Pimblett is next, the MMA world will be watching closely. Move on to another news. Former UFC middleweight champion Michael Bisping has shared his official prediction for the upcoming UFC Vancouver main event between Reinier de Ridder and Brendan Allen, and his take has already started turning heads in the MMA community. Speaking on his popular Believe You Me podcast, Bisping broke down the matchup in detail, ultimately picking de Ridder to win by submission and calling him one of the most dangerous stylistic threats to Khamzat Chimaev in the entire middleweight division. "I think Reinier de Ridder wins this fight," Bisping said confidently. "No offense to Brendan, he's a great fighter and has looked fantastic recently, but I just think RDR has too many tools in the grappling department. I think he gets the win, and if he does, he's immediately in the title conversation." Bisping went on to explain that if de Ridder secures a victory on Saturday night, it could spell trouble for Khamzat Chimaev's future at middleweight. "If RDR gets the shot next, it would almost be Sod's Law for Khamzat," he joked. "Out of everyone at 185 pounds, de Ridder is the guy with the most stylistic problems for him. Khamzat dominates most guys with his wrestling and top control, but RDR has the kind of jiu-jitsu that can completely flip that dynamic." Bisping praised de Ridder's unique grappling skill set, noting how comfortable he is even when being taken down. "If Reinier gets taken down, it's not a bad position for him. He's got a dangerous guard, great sweeps, and he's so calm off his back. He probably welcomes getting taken down, which makes him a nightmare matchup for wrestlers like Chimaev," Bisping added. The former champion also took time to discuss how the rest of the division stacks up. While Brendan Allen has been on a strong winning streak, Bisping pointed out that few middleweights right now pose a real threat to Khamzat's grappling dominance, except de Ridder. "Look around at 185, he said. Dricus du Plessis probably won't get another shot right away. Marvin Vettori could be a problem but doesn't have the submission game, and Strickland, well, he's calling for a fight with Khamzat, but that's not happening anytime soon. Out of all of them, RDR is the one guy who can match Khamzat on the ground." Bisping's co-hosts, Bryan and Harrington, chimed in to ask whether he saw the fight going the distance or ending early. Without hesitation, Bisping leaned toward a finish. "It's a 5-round fight," he said. "Over that amount of time, I think RDR eventually catches Brendan in some kind of submission. He's too slick and too composed in those scrambles. I don't see Allen surviving all 5 rounds without getting caught." The matchup between Reinier de Ridder, the former One Championship double champion known for his elite grappling and composure, and Brendan Allen, one of the UFC's fastest rising middleweight contenders, has captured the attention of fans worldwide. Allen's pressure-heavy style and aggressive jiu-jitsu could make the fight chaotic, but Bisping believes de Ridder's technical control and composure will prevail. In Bisping's view, this isn't just another fight, it's a pivotal moment for the middleweight division. If de Ridder wins, he said, he immediately becomes a top contender, and stylistically, he might be the toughest puzzle Khamzat Chimaev has ever had to solve. With both men on the verge of career-defining moments, UFC Vancouver is shaping up to be one of the most intriguing events of the year, and if Bisping's prediction holds true, Reinier de Ridder could soon emerge as the division's most dangerous new threat.